memory of growing up at Reed Road, I would say one of my best ones was the swimming pool that we installed. And we would be out there and swim all hours of the day and night, and had fun in that pool. Dad taught us how to swim, basically. And we had many pool parties, and remember Dad having his teacher parties, and we would go in and eat their food and watch them swim and sneak up behind the bushes and watch what was going on. It was kind of fun. So probably the Reed Road pool was probably my favorite.
Did you try to set any world records in the pool?
We did. I do have the record of treading water for the longest, even though my brother Mike tried to beat me at it. I actually went 8 hours straight treading water, and I think I set a world record. Unofficially, I never got it recorded. So that was a good memory. You're right, Laurie.
Yes.
What started in swimming, because we all did swim all the way through, we joined the YMCA, and there was a guy, and my dad reminds me of Don Jenkins. He just took my brother Mike, Mark, and me under his wing, and he just started swimming, and we had a coach called, his name was Gene Goins, and we really liked him, and it was our first introduction to sports, and we were Y brats, and we started swimming there, and then Dad put the pool in, and everything happened from there. When we swam all the way through pre-high school thing, we did all the AAU teams and that, and then when for swimming, and then we went to the YMCA programs where we started, I guess. Then from there we went to high school, and from there we branched off, went out to our different universities. I went to Alma College in Central Michigan, swam at Alma, but not at Central. Where did I go to high school? I went to Ainsworth High, and spent, my dad, of course, Dad was a principal in Dillon Elementary, so we were in the Carmen Ainsworth School District. And we went there 4 years, and I'd have to say I was probably one of the smarter of the brothers that went through. Now my sister was a little smart, so it was tough to compete. But so no, we did that. I swam, I ran track, and just kind of did that. How long was Dad at Dillon? Dad was at Dillon 21, 22, 23 years. A long time. He's in the school district forever. Was a principal for at least 20 years. Yes, I did. I did use it to my advantage, and a lot of the friends I still have on Facebook would probably remember this story. But we would get to stay after hours in the gym, and we get to play dodgeball and basketball, and they thought that was so cool. So I got to pick the friends I wanted, and Dad always let me do that. And one of the funnest things I remember is he had a janitor. I don't remember his name, but the janitor would have a barrel, a great big huge barrel, and it was monkeys in it. And we'd go in, and I can remember us walking in, and we'd pull out monkeys. He'd let us take one home with us. And so we always wanted to go visit Dad when he was a principal. So that was kind of a good fond memory. He started as a coach in track and field is where he started my dad started his coaching. Yeah, talk about the articles for swimming. And one article I remember the most is when we had the only team, might have been in the country, but definitely in the state, where we had a relay that was Spencer, Overfield. And so, of course, I had the most important leg at swimming. It was the freestyle. And then my brother Mike did the backstroke. He was okay with that. And then Mark did the breaststroke, which both Mike and I hated breaststroke. And we didn't have another brother, so Bob Overfield did the butterfly for us. And we actually went to the state meet, and I think we placed in the top 12. And we were 1 year Spencer. So that was kind of a cool memory. I had a lot of records. I swam a stroke that a lot of people swam, freestyle. And so at one point I owned 5, 6, or 7 of them. But as time went on, there was couple kids that were a little faster than me as I got older, and they broke most of my records. But you'll probably hear my brothers say they still have records, and Mike in particular will say he owns all the records in backstroke and everything else. But it's like the internet. It's on the internet. It's true, right? So, But anyway, we did have records. We had fun. I held the record in the Flint Olympian Games. That's when we first started out. We were just kids, and I held a record for over 12 years, the 25-yard freestyle. It was kind of cool. It got broken back. I can still remember when it was broken, but I was definitely out of college, so that was kind of cool.
We met in college. We were next door neighbors in a co-ed dorm, and yeah, so that's how we met. Not really a whole lot to tell. We dated for about 3 years before we got married, and we both had jobs in the summer, so I would either go to Flint for the weekend or he would come up to Midland where I was from, and we would just hang out and do our thing. And if we were at Spencer's house, we'd go swimming and go to baseball games and did a lot of stuff. It was just like a huge family. I'm not sure what makes them different. It's more like what makes them the same, and it's family values, family first, and they're a pretty loyal lot to one another, and very loyal to their parents and to their dad's memory, and very loyal to their mother. As you know, in the last couple years, they've all participated in Zane's care. So I would call them quite a loyal family. And we had a fun family. We've had so much fun over the years, from 4th of July's to Thanksgiving and Christmas. Just a lot of fun. And it's been fun. Even though we've moved away, Leanne and John moved away to Chicago, we would always get together, you know, for 4th of July, for Thanksgiving.
Christmas.
And we would have our Thanksgiving at Christmas time because we all had other families. And our kids they didn't want to be away from their own homes at Christmas. So we would have Christmas with Matt's mom and dad at Thanksgiving, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and it was great. You'd have half your Christmas shopping done by Thanksgiving.
Oh wow, things that I remember about Grandpa and Grandma, or Mom and Dad. There are a lot of stories. I think I mentioned earlier the pool was one of the ones I remember the most, just because I swam and they were always doing fun things there. But probably one of the ones that involved my mom and my brother Mike was when Mike was learning to drive, I believe, and or I was learning to drive, and we were backing out of the driveway and we were fighting. And supposedly, your dad said it was over ice cream, and I was driving, so he got mad. So Mike reached over and grabbed my hair, was pulling. I'm backing out of the driveway. Grandma puts the foot on the brake. I'm driving, of course, and grabs both of us by the hair and just yanks us and yelling and screaming at the top of our lungs, and we were like. We felt kind of bad, but that was a story I remember there. Another story I remember is the big Burger King Whopper story. I tell that one all the time. I still can't eat a Burger King Whopper today, and the reason being is that when Mom said, we're going to go to the restaurant, we're going to get whatever you guys want to eat, they all wanted to go to Burger King, bring it home, and Mark and Mike said they wanted a Whopper. And I said, well, I want one too, because I want to be like my big brothers. And they said, well, you can't eat a Whopper. And I said, yes, I can. So Mom bought me a Whopper, and we were out in the backyard. I can remember it today. I know exactly what happened. And I was eating it, and sure enough, I couldn't eat it all. So I pulled the tomatoes off, thinking it would make more room in my stomach so I could eat that. So today I can't eat a raw tomato. And then I said I still couldn't finish it, so I took it and dumped it behind the bushes and thought I was clear and free. Everyone said, did you eat it? I said, yep, I ate it all. 5 minutes later, the dog found it and pulled it out, was eating it, and then everyone knew I couldn't eat a Whopper. So this day, I cannot eat a Burger King Whopper. And that was because Mom went to help get the food, and so it was kind of fun. So that's a memory I have. There's a lot of them, but that's the one I remember. Probably them in the swim meets. They would go to every single one of our swim meets, whether it was far away. We went all the way to Atlanta, Georgia for swimming, Florida, Ohio, all over the place, and it started with a Y. And I think you asked earlier what brings our family special. I think it's Mom and Dad did that. They instilled in us family that now we have instilled in our kids. My brothers have done it in their kids, and you as well, everyone. So I think that's what makes our family so tight. And now it's like they were paying it forward. Now we're helping our mom and our dad when they're in their elder years, and we'll probably talk about that later. But yeah. I think that's what pulls our family together, and people comment on that all the time. Which kid was the most troublemaker? Laurie, do you want to handle that one? Because I know who it is.
I was not there, but I've just only heard stories about the famous fires and
smoking
out fox from a hole. But I don't think we should name names.
No, black sheep wouldn't be the right name either. But the what was it? The free spirit was the way it was classified as. He would always get in trouble, get caught for everything. And I will. It's my brother Mike. He knows it. So But it did bring a lot of character to the family and a lot of things. And the time he tried to escape out the window with his friends, I thought he was sleepwalking and going out the bedroom window. And so I went and told Dad, and we went and caught Mike down at the bottom, and Mike was so mad at me because I had busted him for sneaking out the window. And I was just concerned of his safety, but he said I was, you know,
I don't think so. I think he was tattletaling.
So he was the unique child, I would say. Of course, I was the best child, obviously. You can ask any of my parents, they'd know. But so anyway, and then Mark was a little older, so Mark kind of watched over all of us. And Leanne was the young one, so we all picked on Leanne. That was just our thing. Have to pick on Girly. We used to call her Girly.
They were brutal to her.
Brutal.
Brutal.
You were not brutal to our
You
sister.
were brutal.
My sister would never
They
admit
called
that.
her inverted saucers. That's so
Toby
mean.
treats. We
That's
protect.
that is so mean.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Is that how the song
Yeah,
goes?
and
she's look where she is today because of us.
As a little girl, she makes no-bake cookies for her brothers. And they teased her mercilessly, told them they weren't good enough to eat, and fed them to the dog. And they were forever known as Toby Treats because that was the name of their dog. You guys were horrible to her. I don't know if they checked out John or her boyfriends when
We checked them all out, yeah.
made sure they were good enough for their sister. I hope they did that and protected her, but they were pretty brutal otherwise, just from the stories I've heard from their sister.
Typical younger sister, that's what she gets. Mike and I were probably the ones that always were fighting. We'd fight all the time, just because we're only 13 months apart. And Mark was always the older one, knows what was going on. He was, we didn't, whatever he said we did kind of thing, so it wasn't too bad. But, well, who's most disciplinary of the two? Dad, obviously, because Dad went back in the days when you could take the leather belt. And I remember we'd get in trouble, and Mom would say, wait, your dad gets home, just kind of like the movies, but we'd get home, he'd make us bend over, he'd take that leather belt, and about that thick, and he would just take it. I mean, we'd get in trouble today, I'm sure. And he'd get the paddle, too. He'd bring his paddle from Dillon Elementary School and paddle us. So Dad did most of the disciplining. Mom was more of the loving, it's okay, we'll, you'll go get your punishment, but we'll be fine after that. So that was how Mom was. So we all gravitated to Mom when it came to punishment time, because we knew Dad was tough. But that made us stronger. I mean, Dad, I don't think we ever spanked our kids, but you wouldn't let me. But I believe that was, that's the reason we turned out as good as we did. None of us got arrested, so that was good.
The relationship between Zane and Bob, I think they had a really great relationship. I think Bob treated her like a princess, and I think they were very happily married. And I think
You never see them fight.
yeah,
No.
we never saw them fight or bicker or argue, but I think part of that is because I think when Grandma would start yapping at Grandpa, he would say, I'm going on a hike. And he would take off several times a day and go hiking. And I think the end of his life, he was walking like 10 miles a day. So I think part of that maybe kept them grounded, that they could get away from one another when they knew there was time. But I remember in her office on Lake Fenton, he would always bring coffee. She would get up at the crack of dawn, and then he would go downstairs and would make coffee and bring coffee up to her. And he was very sweet and he was a very kind man, and he adored her. And I think it was mutual. Zane and I recently were looking at pictures. This will probably make me cry, but we were looking at pictures, and I pointed to Bob, and I said, who's that man there? And she said, that's Robert J. And she said, he's still the most handsome man I know. I thought it was really sweet.
She has those. She talks about Dad a lot. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they're married, I think, 63 years next week. August 7th, I think it'll be 63 years. So Mom, Dad is strong. Again, that's why I think all of us have turned out, with all our stories we have, I think that's why we turned out well.
With all our quirks.
Yeah. And I think that's why we come together at a moment of crisis and what Mom was in was crisis, and we all came together, and people just can't believe what we do as a family. They're just amazed. With the support group, I went for the Alzheimer's support group. And it was good. It all came from that upbringing.